Everyone, welcome into this week's My Weekly CBS Fix. Hope you had a great week. This week's video is dedicated as a mazel tov to Meir and Shani Davidson upon the birth of their baby boy. Mordechai Zev, mazel tov to you, mazel tov to the Deer family as well. This week's video is also dedicated as a refuah shlema for Rivka Dorit Bas Rachel and for Yitzchak Isaac Ben Chai Esther. In this week's parasha, the Jewish people are complaining to Hashem, and they are bored. And the verse says that they were kimisonim, they were like complainers, and they were complaining about the fish that they ate in Egypt for free, and here they are in the midbar in the desert, and all they have is manna coming from the heaven. So the question is, what's going on over here? We're talking about a nation that stood by Mount Sinai, that had levels of prophecy even higher than the greatest prophets. The lowest of the people even had levels of prophecy higher than the greatest prophets, and their levels of sanctity were so incredible. Yet here now they've gone from the top of the mountain to the bottom, as it were. What happened? How is this? How should we understand it? So of course there's a lot of explaining to do and a lot of ways to understand it. But first and foremost, you should know, again, and we've mentioned this in the past, that Torah is distinct than any other religious book because the Torah goes out of the way to tell you of the sins of the people. No other religious book will you find that their book says that the people did a specific sin or the leaders did a specific sin. That is something unique to Torah. But at the same time, we have to study what their sin was and a lesson that we can take home with us. If you look at a rabbi that you know, a Torah leader, or even if he's not a Torah leader, a rabbi that you know and trust and respect, you see that he leads a certain life, and he usually stays committed to that life, especially if it's a spiritual life. He doesn't pursue different materialistic things. So how does one attain that goal? And how does one remain on that goal? So the answer is that depends how he became that person. If he became that person through toil and through study and through hard work, and that's who he became this Ben Torah. He became somebody who lived the life of Torah. And so therefore, he's able to retain that level. But if somebody who's just going through the motions because he was told to or because he was forced to, so such a person, it's very easy for them to slip back down. When the Jewish people had those levels of prophecy, even higher than the greatest prophets, it was a gift that was given to them. It wasn't through their own virtue that they were actually worthy of it, but because of the moment of the giving of the Torah was so stupendous, Hashem allowed them all to experience it, but they themselves weren't necessarily part and parcel worthy of it. Of course, on a certain level they were. That's why Hashem gave it to them. But they weren't necessarily prophets per se, that they were all worthy of it. And so therefore, when that experience was over, they kind of regress back into who they were. I'm sharing this with you because of the lesson that it teaches for most of us. A lot of things that we do in life, we do them because other people are telling us to do it. And sometimes we feel forced into a certain area. And we have to be very careful, whether it's with ourselves, whether it's with our kids. If we force them to do things, unfortunately, it can have a negative effect. That the second that moment is over or that period in their life is over, it's possible that they could regress. And sometimes it can have a negative effect on them. And so therefore, our job is to, especially when it comes to our children, our job is to figure out what exactly it is that each and every child needs that doesn't push them above and beyond, but rather allows them to toil and to work on the level that they were on. If they get pushed a little too hard, a little too far, it's possible that they can regress. So I think it's a very important message. Have an amazing, amazing Shabbos. Thank you for listening.